How can you predict a stroke if it gives you no warning signs? That question might sound impossible, but for millions of Americans over 60, it could be the most important question of their life. You see, not all strokes come with slurred speech, a drooping face, or a paralyzed arm. Some don't come with any symptoms at all, and that's what makes them so dangerous. They're called silent strokes, and they can quietly damage your brain for years without you knowing a thing. No headaches, no blackouts, no warning. Just imagine waking up one morning and you suddenly can't remember the name of your neighbor. Or you forget why you walked into the kitchen. You brush it off as just aging. But what if it's not? What if your brain is sending you distress signals and you're ignoring them? In ancient military strategy, they said, "Know your enemy and know yourself, and you shall not fear 100 battles." When it comes to your health, silent stroke is the hidden enemy, and the only way to fight it is through knowledge. Because once you understand what it is, who it targets, and how it strikes, you'll never look at just aging the same way again. So in this video, we'll pull back the curtain. We'll expose the silent damage happening in the brains of millions. And most importantly, we'll show you how to stop it before it steals your memory, your independence, or even your life. Stick with me. What you're about to hear may change how you care for your brain, starting today. So what exactly is a silent stroke? Let's strip away the mystery. A silent stroke happens when the blood supply to a small part of your brain is suddenly cut off, just like in a regular stroke. Brain cells in that area start to die within minutes because they're starved of oxygen and nutrients. But here's the twist. The area affected doesn't control obvious things like your speech, your arms, or your face. It's usually a quiet zone. That means no slurring, no collapsing, no dramatic signs to send you racing to the ER. In fact, most people don't even know they've had one. It gets discovered later, by accident, on a brain scan for something else. Maybe after a fall, or during a checkup for memory loss. That's when the doctor looks at your MRI and says, "You've had a stroke." And you say, "When? I don't remember that." That's the danger. Because every time this happens, a tiny part of your brain dies. It might be small. You might not feel it, but the damage adds up. And the more it adds up, the more it begins to change how you think, how you move, how you feel. And here's something most people don't know. Silent strokes are actually more common than strokes with obvious symptoms. In older adults, studies suggest that up to 1 in 4 people over age 60 have already had one and don't even know it. Let that sink in. A quarter of people may already be walking around with permanent brain damage, just waiting for the next one to strike harder. You might wonder if they're so common. Why aren't we talking about them more? That's what we're here to change. Because the earlier you understand what's happening in your own brain, the better chance you have of protecting it and staying sharp, independent, and in control, no matter your age. Let's take a closer look at the subtle warning signs that often go unnoticed, but could be telling you a stroke has already happened. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Your brain may already be warning you, but the signs don't scream. They whisper, and if you're over 60, those whispers might already be happening. Every time you forget where you parked, or struggle to follow a conversation in a noisy room. We've been trained to look for the big, dramatic stroke symptoms: slurred speech, a drooping face, sudden weakness. But with silent strokes, the signs are subtle. They can be brushed off as normal aging, and that's what makes them so dangerous. So what should you actually look for? Let's start with memory. If you're finding it harder to remember recent conversations, or if you walk into a room and can't recall why, pay attention. We all forget things, but if it's happening more often, and especially if it comes with confusion, that's not just getting older. It could be silent brain damage. Another red flag? Emotional changes that don't quite make sense. Maybe you cry easily over small things, or laugh inappropriately at something serious. That kind of emotional mismatch isn't just a personality quirk. It may point to deeper neurological changes from a stroke you didn't even know you had. Then there's balance and coordination. Are you walking more cautiously these days? Feeling unsteady even in familiar places? A silent stroke can affect parts of the brain that control your gait, making you feel off balance or hesitant. You might also notice disorientation, struggling to follow directions, getting lost on routes you've driven for years, or feeling mentally foggy, like your mind is moving through mud. In some cases, bladder control changes, especially if it happens suddenly, can also be a clue. It sounds unrelated, but it's not. These functions are controlled by very specific areas in the brain that can be affected by small strokes. Here's what's so cruel about all this. Each of these signs, on their own, can seem harmless, easy to ignore, but together, they tell a story. And that story could be your brain's way of saying, something happened, and it's not okay. The worst mistake you can make is to chalk it all up to just getting older. Because sometimes the body doesn't shout, it whispers, and we have to choose to listen. Now let's go deeper. What exactly happens inside your brain during a silent stroke? Let's take a moment and zoom in inside your brain. Imagine it like a city, a living, breathing, electrical city. Billions of brain cells communicating through tiny signals every second. Roads, bridges, intersections, all of it fueled by one thing: blood. Blood is how your brain gets oxygen. It's how it gets nutrients. Without blood, brain cells die fast. Not in days, not in hours, in minutes. Now picture a blood vessel in your brain suddenly getting blocked. A clot, like a traffic jam during rush hour, but this time there's no detour. That's what a stroke is. And with a silent stroke, it's the same thing, just smaller. The blockage cuts off blood to a very specific area. That area doesn't control speech or movement, so the outward symptoms may be missing. But inside, damage is happening. Here's what's terrifying. The brain doesn't regenerate like your skin or your muscles. Once brain tissue dies, it's gone, forever. Your brain tries to compensate, rerouting some signals, adjusting, but it's never quite the same. The memory slips, the slowed thinking, the emotional changes. They're not random. They're signs that certain parts of the city, the ones responsible for those functions, have been hit. And here's the part most people don't realize. The brain has vulnerable zones. One of the most commonly affected areas in silent strokes is deep inside the white matter, which connects different parts of your brain, like an internet highway. When that white matter is damaged, communication slows down. Processing becomes harder. Decision-making gets foggier. It's like your brain is trying to send a message through a frayed wire. You don't need to feel pain to suffer loss. A silent stroke is proof of that. And when you have one, your brain doesn't scream, it simply adjusts. Quietly, subtly. Until one day, the changes are too obvious to ignore. By then, the damage may already be permanent. But here's the hope. When you understand what's going on, when you see your brain for the miracle it is, you start to protect it differently. You stop brushing things off. You start paying attention. Because inside your head is the most powerful organ you'll ever own. And right now, it's fighting a battle you may not even see. Let's take a look at the numbers. The research that proves just how common and serious silent strokes really are. So far, we've talked about what a silent stroke is, how it works, and how it sneaks past your radar. But if you're thinking, is this really something I should be worried about? Let's talk about the numbers, because the research is not just surprising, it's alarming. In one major study out of the Netherlands, the Rotterdam Scan study researchers looked at brain scans from over 1,000 people aged 60 to 90. What they found was shocking. More than 1 in 5 had experienced a silent stroke, and most didn't even know it. Let that settle in for a second. You could be perfectly functional, living your life. No memory of anything dramatic happening. And yet, part of your brain has already been damaged. Another large analysis, this one combining over 13 different studies, confirmed something even more troubling. People who've had a silent stroke are twice as likely to suffer a major, full-blown stroke later on. Silent strokes aren't just background noise, they're warnings. And here's what might be even more important, especially if you're worried about your memory. Silent strokes are now linked to vascular dementia, a form of cognitive decline that affects decision-making, focus, and memory. Not just forgetting a birthday. We're talking about losing your sense of time, your sense of place, yourself. In fact, in brain scans of older adults with memory issues, silent strokes show up again and again, especially in people who've never had a real stroke before. This isn't speculation. It's not a theory. It's what the scans are showing us. over and over again. And if you've been diagnosed with high blood pressure, diabetes, or heart disease, your risk of silent stroke jumps even higher. Those conditions damage blood vessels quietly over time, making these stealth strokes more likely to occur. Here's what all of this tells us. Just because something is silent doesn't mean it's harmless. In the case of strokes, silence is the warning. But now that you know what's happening, the next question is, who's most at risk? What kind of lifestyle, habits, or health issues make someone a target for these silent attacks? That's what we're about to uncover next. You might be wondering, if silent strokes are so dangerous, who's most likely to have one? The answer may hit closer to home than you think. Let's start with age. If you're over 60, your risk goes up. Why? Because as we age, our blood vessels naturally become less flexible. Tiny vessels in the brain, especially deep inside, can narrow or weaken over time. That makes them more vulnerable to sudden blockages, even tiny ones. Next, high blood pressure. It's the #1 risk factor for all types of stroke. And here's what's tricky. Many people don't feel their blood pressure rising. There's no pain, no dizziness, but quietly, high pressure strains your arteries. Over time, it causes wear and tear that can lead to clots or ruptures. Diabetes is another major player. High blood sugar damages blood vessels, especially the delicate ones in your brain. If you're diabetic, pre-diabetic, or insulin resistant, your risk of silent stroke increases significantly. It's not just about sugar, it's about inflammation, circulation, and long-term damage. What about cholesterol? When your LDL, the bad cholesterol, builds up inside your arteries, it narrows the space for blood to flow. And in the brain, even a tiny obstruction can mean big trouble. Now here's something most people overlook: stress. Chronic emotional stress releases hormones like adrenaline that raise your blood pressure, tighten your blood vessels, and disrupt blood sugar balance. It's like your body is always in fight or flight mode, and your brain pays the price. Smoking, of course, is a high-risk habit. The chemicals in tobacco damage the lining of blood vessels and speed up plaque buildup. But even with can cause problems. And let's not forget one of the most common culprits: lack of movement. If you're sitting most of the day, your circulation slows. Blood doesn't move the way it should, and clots are more likely to form. So what does all this mean? It means you don't need to be sick to be at risk. You just need to be unaware. But now that you know what puts you in danger, you can start making changes before a silent stroke makes them for you. Let's dig into what's really behind these strokes, the deeper causes we often overlook. Let's step beyond the usual suspects. We've talked about blood pressure, diabetes, and cholesterol. But if we really want to stop strokes, especially silent ones, we have to go deeper. We have to look at the root causes, the invisible chain reactions happening inside the body every day. The first enemy? High blood sugar. Even if you don't have full-blown diabetes, chronically high blood sugar or insulin resistance can quietly damage the walls of your blood vessels. Think of sugar like tiny shards of glass flowing through your bloodstream. Over time, they scratch and weaken the inside of your arteries. That damage triggers inflammation. The body tries to patch the area with cholesterol. And that's how blockages begin to form. Now here's what's surprising. You don't need to eat tons of candy to be at risk. Most of it comes from everyday carbs, white bread, pasta, cereal, sugary drinks. And as we age, our bodies get less efficient at handling those carbs. What used to be normal at 30 could now be toxic at 65. Next up, adrenaline, the stress hormone. Chronic stress floods your body with adrenaline and cortisol designed to help in short bursts. But when you're stressed every day for weeks or months, those hormones start doing damage. They constrict your arteries, raise your blood pressure, disrupt your blood sugar. It's like your body is always in emergency mode, even when you're sitting still. And that stress can come from anywhere. Caregiving for a loved one, financial worry, grief, loneliness. Emotional pain doesn't just affect your heart. It affects your brain, literally. Then there are medications. Hormone replacement therapy, HRT, for example, especially estrogen-based ones, have been linked to an increased risk of stroke in some women. Certain types of birth control pills carry similar risks. That doesn't mean they're always harmful, but it means you need to talk with your doctor about your history and your options. And let's not forget smoking. You might already know smoking harms your lungs, but it also sends dangerous chemicals straight into your bloodstream. Those chemicals trigger oxidative stress, destroy the protective lining of your arteries, and set the stage for clots to form. Finally, high blood pressure, often called the silent killer, remains one of the biggest drivers of both ischemic strokes, from clots, and hemorrhagic strokes, from bleeding. The strange thing? In over 90% of cases, doctors label it as essential hypertension, meaning there's no single known cause. But here's what we do know. High blood pressure is almost always linked to a combination of poor diet, stress, inactivity, and nutritional deficiencies, especially in potassium and magnesium. So instead of treating just the symptom, the clot, we need to treat the terrain. The environment inside your body that allowed that clot to form in the first place. And the good news? You have more control over that terrain than you think. Coming up next, the practical, science-backed steps you can take starting today to reduce your risk and protect your brain for the years ahead. Now that we know what we're up against, let's talk about what you can actually do. Because here's the truth. Up to 80% of strokes, including silent ones, are preventable. That's not wishful thinking. That's what research shows. The power is in your hands. And prevention doesn't begin in a hospital. It starts in your kitchen, in your grocery cart, in the habits you create every single day. Let's begin with food. If there's one change that can make a massive difference, it's cutting back on sugar and refined carbohydrates. That means bread, pasta, white rice, and sugary snacks. Instead, aim for whole foods, lean proteins, leafy greens, healthy fats like olive oil and avocado. A lower-carb diet can dramatically improve blood sugar, lower inflammation, and even help reduce blood pressure. If you're interested in going further, many experts recommend exploring intermittent fasting or a keto-style diet, but always talk to your doctor first. Next, load your plate with vegetables, especially leafy greens like spinach, kale, and romaine lettuce. Why? Because they're packed with potassium and magnesium, 2 minerals that help relax your blood vessels and regulate blood pressure. Most Americans don't get enough potassium. And if you're only eating one small salad a day, it's not enough. Try working up to 4 or 5 cups of vegetables daily. That may sound like a lot, but your brain will thank you. Now let's talk movement. You don't need to run marathons to protect your brain. Just walking 30 minutes a day, 5 times a week, has been shown to improve circulation, reduce stress, and lower stroke risk. Even light stretching or chair yoga can help if mobility is limited. But here's the key. Consistency matters more than intensity. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep going. And don't overlook sleep. Your brain uses sleep to repair itself. If you're only sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night, that adds up over time. Aim for 7 to 8 hours if you can, and talk to your doctor if you're struggling to stay asleep. Next, manage your stress. That could mean meditation, prayer, deep breathing, journaling, or simply spending time with loved ones. Chronic stress isn't just an emotional burden, it's a biological trigger. Reducing it isn't a luxury. It's medicine. Finally, know your numbers. Get your blood pressure checked regularly. Ask about your A1C for blood sugar, your cholesterol levels, your vitamin D levels. What you measure, you can manage. Silent strokes don't have to be your future. But change doesn't come from fear. It comes from action. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. Just take the next small step forward. Because every healthy choice you make is a message to your brain that says, I'm protecting you. I'm paying attention now. Let's close with a powerful reminder and a question that started it all. Let's go back to that question we asked at the very beginning. How can you protect yourself from a stroke if it gives you no warning signs? Now you know the answer. You don't wait for symptoms. You don't wait for pain. You don't wait until something breaks. You listen sooner. You act earlier. You protect what matters before it's too late. Because silent strokes may not show up in the mirror, but they do show up in your life. In the way you think, in the way you feel, in the small changes that are easy to ignore until they're not. But the good news? You don't need to be afraid. You just need to be informed. And today, you are. Let's take one more step together before we close. If this message resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone you care about. A spouse, a sibling, a friend. Anyone over 60 who deserves to know what's really happening inside their brain. Because too many good people are losing their memory, their clarity, their independence, not because of age, but because of something no one told them was happening. Let's change that. And if you haven't already, take a moment today to check in with your doctor. Ask the hard questions. Advocate for your brain. It's never too early or too late to begin.